Hello everybody, welcome to the Riverside Stadium, welcome to Middlesbrough where Norwich City are in action this afternoon against the promotion chasing team. I think we're all really intrigued to see how they will get on. Let's bring you the team news. Norwich City have made a couple of changes. We've got a couple of bits and bobs to feed in as well to this. Norwich City have Kovacevic in goal, Fisher, McConville, Cordoba and Krizene at the back four. Jacob Wright, as expected, in for the injured Pella Matson alongside Kenny McLean. Papa Amadu Dio gets his first start since returning from injury, with Slimani as the number 10 and Ali Ahmed behind Jovan Makama. The subs bench: Grimshaw, Stacey, Darling, Gibbs, Jurasek, Marcondes, Schwartau, Chris Gorin and Errol Mundell-Smith. So just to run through that again for you: Kovacevic in goal, Fisher, McConville, Cordoba and Krizene the back four, Wright and McLean in the midfield two, Diallo, Slimani and Ahmed behind Jovan Makama. The subs bench: Grimshaw, Stacey, Darling, Gibbs, Jurasek, Schwartau, Chris Gorin and Mundell-Smith. So that is how Norwich City line up this afternoon, which is very interesting. And obviously, I'm sure there'll be lots of questions about a very noticeable omission from that matchday squad, which I'll wait for Paddy Davitt to come in. He's just finishing a bit, and then we'll bring him in. But that is the Norwich City team, which is just below you there. No, Paddy is with me. He's literally just not. You might be able to see the corner of his hood in the screen. He's just polishing something off, and then he will join us. But yeah, a couple of changes for Norwich from the start. No Tony Springett in that matchday squad. Okay. And good afternoon, Paddy. More notably, no Harry Amas. What can you tell us?
Well, all I would say at this stage is go back to Philippe Clement yesterday. He did say beyond the Pella Matson news, there was one or two other fitness concerns from training this week. No Harry Amas now in the matchday squad, so you can put those two together. We'll get an update from Philippe post-game, but our initial sense is that probably isn't good news. So, but let's wait for what Philippe's got to say, because it clearly has implications more broadly, given that he came in because of injuries to Slup and Mahovo, neither of whom are expected back anytime soon, really. So, off the back of Matson, it's not what you need to hear, but, to echo Philippe Clement, when he was talking about Matson, Jacob Wright gets the opportunity today, and Ben Krizene, I think, probably would have started anyway, but, he is becoming quite a protected species now, it is safe to say.
It's cursed, isn't it, that left-back position, when you think Jeffrey Schlupp out injured, we're still not expecting him back for a significant period. Lucien Mahovo out injured, not expecting him back for a significant period. Obviously, Ben Krizene has recently returned. Go on.
No.
No, there you go. Ben Krizene, who's just come back from injury. They obviously loan in Harry Amas from Manchester United to try and solve this issue, who then gets himself injured. No Tony Springett in the matchday squads either. I'm sure that'll be one that Paddy can put to Philippe post game. And then Dan pointing out no Paris Macoma, which he did confirm yesterday at his press conference. And he gave you that exclusive as he described it.
I think, to be fair, his comments publicly about Mahomo, I wasn't surprised because he basically said, look, this is a guy who, anybody who's not aware of his backstory, he arrives here off the back of 6 months without real much game time and recovering from not one but two hamstring injuries. So he is not for the here and now. He is one they have to build up, and that was more or less what Philip confirmed yesterday, but I think we knew that anyway. And Amanka Forson, the other one, not quite back in team training this week, hopefully from next week. So I think you can probably pair those two together now in terms of attacking midfielders who are in the games to come, maybe coming into Philippe Clement's thoughts. But in the here and now, no, I don't think we'll see either of those for the foreseeable.
Indeed. The one change we did expect, Paddy, Jacob Wright in for Pella Matson, who obviously I think Philippe said it would be several weeks for him to come back from that ankle injury sustained against Middlesbrough. For the avoidance of doubt, it definitely was not the elbow that he took in the face. That was completely separate too. But yeah, I think we probably expected Jacob Wright in. It is Jacob Wright in, and if he can produce what he did against Coventry in the second half of that game on Monday night, then you'd hope Norwich City don't feel too much of an effect without Madsen. But clearly, that's a big hole for him to try and fill, and very different player as well.
Well, that was my opening point on this, is that it's not like for like, because he isn't a Pella Matson, and we know that. And Philippe Clement said, look, we don't have that profile available in the squad currently, so it has to be slightly different. But having said that, two things. He was and I know it's different head coach, different times, but if you go back to the back end of last season when we came here, he was the best player on the pitch for Norwich. He was excellent. That was really the for me, the apex of that end of season run he went on, where he got game time, he looked comfortable in the surroundings, he started to impose his personality, I thought, on that Norwich team. Obviously, a lot has changed since then, but coming back here again today, the other thing I think that might tip in his favour is the type of game it could be in terms of how Middlesbrough play under Hellberg, and they want to, yes, they're good at their aggressive press, but they also want to dominate possession and get on the ball, and that conversely might allow him a little bit of time in those areas if it turns into a bit more of a technical type of game in that central midfield area, because I think he's better suited to that than trying to go box to box and close people down and force turnovers. I think Kenny McLean's going to have to do a lot of lifting in that regard in terms of those two as a pair, but nobody can dress it up any other way. It's a huge blow to be without Matson, because he has been integral to this revival under Philippe Clement, and without him, you know, others are going to have to shoulder the burden, and chief among them today is Jacob Wright. But throwing it forward 2 days out from the window closing, I think they will look to do another centre mid. Of that, I have no doubt.
Yeah, indeed. Just to answer this from Cole, not in the squad. We're led to believe that is injury related, but obviously Philippe Clement will clear that up after the game. He said yesterday that there was a couple of knocks in the side, and I think no Harry Amas, no Tony Springett either, so that probably covers those. And Paddy will put that to him after the game for a bit more of a full update on where those are at. Let's bring you the Middlesbrough team then. The headline news for them really is no Leo Castledine, who obviously joined from Huddersfield Town earlier in the window after what had been. Oh, sorry, he had a loan spell at Huddersfield Town, and he was very successful there, but Chelsea originally. He is not in their matchday squad at all today, so presume that is injury related. They line up with Bryn in goal. That's Britton and Target, the two fullbacks. Melenda and Ayling, I presume, will be the centre-back options, with McGree, Brown and Morris as the midfield three. Hackney in there as well with Whittaker and Conway. So that is how they line up. Their subs-bench, but Lawland Fry, Strelec, Gilbert, Monroe, Svir Naipan, Silvera Hansen and new signing Jeremy Sarmiento on the bench. So that is the Middlesbrough team. That's how they line up today. Just run through that for you again. Bryn in goal, Britton, Ayling, Melenda and Target the back four, Hackney and Morris the midfield two, Brown, who has been playing on the right with Riley McGree in the 10, Whittaker on the left, and Tommy Conway up front. Their bench: McLaughlin, Fry, Strelec, Gilbert, Monroe, Naipan, Silvera, Hansen and Sarmiento. So that is how Middlesbrough line up. Paddy, before we go on to kind of transfer related strands to this, Papa Amadu Diallo, I asked you this. I heard you speaking about him in the press room to someone else, but you've been quite impressed by sort of the levels that he's reached since he's come back. Maybe gone under the radar a little bit because of how well Ali Ahmed and Anis Ben Slimani have taken that sort of creative mantle on, but teed the goal up, didn't he, for it with his pace for Ahmed on Monday night. It's going to be really interesting to see him from the start this afternoon.
Yeah, my mind goes back to the Wrexham away game, where in a phase of that game post that medical emergency stoppage in the second half down there, when he came on at half time, I think. No, actually, no, he didn't. He came on a little bit later in that second half. But I thought his ability to stretch the play, to carry the ball as well, really tipped the balance. Obviously, McCarmo, excellent goal from McLean, that counter that won it that day. But I just thought he altered the dynamic of that game, because it meant Norwich had that threat, and it wasn't just this rearguard action camped in their own final third. And they might need that again today. The big question mark is going from the start today, as opposed to, as he has done since he came back in, really dropped in the second half. But Clement has made the calculation that he's got enough physical work into his legs now that he can handle that. And that's a really exciting three, really, from a transition, counter-attacking threat, pace, with Slimani, with Ali Ahmed, and now obviously with Papa Jallo. So that aspect of this game today fills you with quite a degree of optimism that if Norwich can get those players almost between the lines, maybe turning over situations with McCarmer up top, that they can cause this Middlesbrough team problems. But the concern is how much opportunity will Norwich have to do that if Middlesbrough get a stranglehold of it, as they have done pretty much so far under Hellberg here at Middlesbrough's Riverside. Most recently put 4 goals past Preston. We know how difficult a team Preston are at this level. That was a quite dismissive result and performance by all accounts. So it's a team really on the crest of a wave, and they will probably look at Norwich today and think there's a bit of vulnerability when they see some of the players who are missing.
Yeah, indeed. Let's move on to the transfer-related lines then. As I think we've reported, lots of people have reported, Norwich City edging closer to the signing of Randers striker Mohamed Toure, Australian international, 21 years of age. A very, certainly profile-wise, looks a very interesting player. What do you make of that pursuit, Paddy? And I guess to that end, probably spells the end of their pursuit of Kasper Hjorg at Bodo.
That would be correct, Connor. That would be our understanding. That deal has proven too difficult to pull together because of primarily his goal-scoring exploits. How rude of him to go and score 2 against Man City and then 1 against Atletico Madrid, really. He needed to stay under the radar, and then our sense is that Norwich probably could have done that deal in this window, but it hasn't happened that way. So Toure is one, but as has been told to us on arrival here, that they had 3 or 4 striker targets in this window. They were progressing on all those fronts. It wasn't that Hogue was the be-all and end-all. All the eggs had gone in that basket. When they got the knockback or the sense that it couldn't happen, they then handbraked out of there. Toure, okay, it hasn't been in the public domain up until the last 24 hours, but he is very much, it would seem, one that they put a lot of background work into, as they did with Ho, as they did previously with Chris Gordon. And that is our understanding, that he's due in England today. He'll probably begin his medical tomorrow. If all goes to plan, maybe Monday, early on deadline day, they'll press the button on that. Fee, there's a few conflicting fees, but 2.6 mil UK sterling and 700,000 in add-ons. And there's a real excitement, I think, that they look at him parallel with Makama in terms of the physical attributes. But this guy is off the shoulder, playing with that pace. Anybody's seen some of his highlights reels, he really can stretch defences. And, you dig underneath those headline numbers, goals and assists, of which there aren't a huge body in his senior career, but it looks like they're quite excited by the type of player he is, the type of areas he gets into, and that coming in here under the coaching of Clement, that they can improve him and that he can make some really big strides. And that commitment financially, because 12 months ago he goes to Randers, I think the fee reportedly was $250,000.
Yep.
Roll it on 12 months, and now he's going for the thick end of €3.5 million. So it shows you the strides he's made. He's a fully fledged Australian international by all accounts. He should be in their World Cup plans this summer. So maybe that's what Norwich thought we'd do in this window. We get him ahead of probably some bigger clubs if it was allowed to play another half a season, maybe, and you get to the summer window. So we'll see, but it would seem, barring any last-minute hitches, he will be that striker box ticked.
What else do you foresee in the next couple of days?
Well, I think, as I said at the start, I think they will now look to do something with the centre mid, with no Bellamats and no Mirko Topic. It's just too much to place a reliance, I think, for the rest of this season on Kenny primarily, but also Jacob Wright. That'll probably impact maybe Liam Gibbs going out, get some loan football. I'm not sure they could let him out just in terms of head count and bodies in that area of the pitch.
Still a lot of talk about a right winger.
Don't hear it internally, do we? We're not getting that sense that that's one they'd look to do. So
I think what I would say now, I mean, you mentioned Diallo, who's obviously playing there today. He's come back, which gives them another body in that area. And then, of course, in the background, you've still got Antti Sienats, who is an option in that position as well. So it would feel numbers-wise, people can dispute the quality if they like, which is fine. But I think there is maybe a feeling that they've got the numbers there.
Yeah, and you've not mentioned, rightly or wrongly, but he is a player in that area of the pitch. But Mate Jurasek, Tony Springett. Yeah. So surely in terms of numbers, if you contrast it with the situation at centre mid now, they look okay. And maybe, as I say, the hours are ticking by now. How many plates can they spin from here realistically? So I think they want to get Toure over the line, done and dusted, and then they'll push it all out to get a 6. And as we've said a few times, we said it on the Instagram this morning, a lot of the body of work in terms of profiling and distilling down players who might fit the area of that part of the squad they've done, because they went for, as we know, Andy Irving from West Ham. He chose to go to Czech, but I'm sure there's other 6s that they did identify in the process of that search that maybe are still available, and they might look to now push ahead a little bit, because Philippe said several weeks with Pella. I think that to me is minimum 6 weeks, maybe 2 months, maybe a bit longer. Too big a length of time now. And as good as they've been, as big a gap as they've started to break away from the bottom three. I don't know how the Charlton game's finished, but last week they were winning 2-0. So
I will check that.
They're not that far over the hill now that they can't worry about what's going on behind them. So they also almost still have to, for me, add a bit of insurance so that they don't get sucked into a late season situation there. You hope that wouldn't be the case. And I don't think it would be the case. I mean, you've got.
I've got a live table in front of me here. So Charlton still 2-0 up. That would put them on 35 points, so above Norwich by 2 points, with a game in hand after Norwich have played here this afternoon as well. Worth noting as well down there today, West Brom and Portsmouth both play each other. Blackburn also have a home game against Hull, who are going very, very well. Oxford, who are I think 6 points behind Norwich. They are at home to Birmingham today as well. So lots of teams who are at home who will, again, begin to feel like they need to start picking up results soon. Obviously, Portsmouth have a couple of games in hand on Norwich. Lurking in the background is that Leicester points deduction, isn't it? Where everyone kind of talks that they get a 9-point deduction at some stage, and we're not really quite sure when or when that is going to come. But that would put them on 29 points if that is the case. As it stands, that is level on points for Blackburn, and the way they're playing, I don't think we can totally dismiss that at the moment either. So lots of fluidity around that, but with this result here today, whatever that will be, we'll go on to the game and how informed Middlesbrough are in the moment. It could potentially be quite a difficult one still for Norwich City. They're certainly not out of the woods yet. Just a final word on the transfer situation, then we'll move into kind of the game.
Is there a game here today?
There is a game here today, yeah. 1,300 Norwich fans. I'll mention that before I forget. What an effort that is from all of those brilliant troops. The majority, I'm sure, are from Norfolk. Not all of them, of course, but I'm sure the bulk of them are. That's as we've done the journey last night. It's certainly not an easy one. So fair play to those. But let's just hypothetically, obviously we'll obviously await to see what Philippe Clement says on it, but let's hypothetically go into a world where that Harry Amos injury is a bad one. Would it force Norwich back into the market for another left back? It feels like there's, as I said earlier, some sort of curse on that position at the moment.
Well, there is. There's no doubt about it. I think it's a difficult one now. I think that's a difficult purely because Harry Amos was the response to no Mahovo, no Schlupp. Schlupp even further back was the response maybe to they needed to add to Krizeni and Mahovo, both of whom started the season fitness-wise not quite there. So, given there's priorities in other areas, it feels, I'm not sure, can they go, because the reality is they've already committed financially to the Amos deal. It's not like they send him, hypothetically, back to Manchester United and they get a refund. It doesn't work like that. So, they've already committed financially on that deal. Can they go again?
Oh, shit up.
So, I don't see that. Now, obviously, that's the financial argument I'm making there. The footballing argument is, they probably do need to go and get another one because, as it stands, Ben Krizeni is the only established senior left back. He's had his fitness issues. He got a bang against Coventry. You're going to come in there.
Well, all I was going to say is we've seen Tony Springett at left back. I guess you could theoretically move Fisher across and play Stacey at right back. I don't think Kellen is as comfortable as a left back, but we've seen him there. So, could you try Liam Gibbs at left back? I think there are probably options that you could explore, but all very emergency options.
Exactly. Well, that's it. Established-wise, it's Krizeni, let's be honest. So,
as Tyler points out, Kenny McLean has played there as well.
Well, if he plays left back,
I need him in midfield at the moment.
Lord alive. So, So, I mean, it's where you're coming at it from. If you're coming at it from a footballing reason, then, they probably do now. Keep having to stress, this is a hypothetical debate. We haven't spoken to Philippe Clement.
Could you play there? Someone asking.
It's never that bad. Things will never get that bad, trust me. So, but if you're coming at it from the financial perspective, I can see why within the club that there may be difficulties to go again financially, given they've committed to Toure and they want to do a centre mid, and we don't know at this stage of that. And I guess all options are in play. But if that was a permanent centre mid, as opposed to a loan centre mid, then the funds that they might have allocated at the back end of the window probably need to go that direction rather than another loan commitment maybe. And that's even if there's the player availability there. They obviously identified Amos as the best of what was out there. Do they then want to go and drop down to the second or third, fourth on that list. So let's see what Philip's take is on it. But as we sit here discussing it now, I don't think they will try and do another left back. No.
Well, hopefully it's not that bad, and Clement will offer a bit more positivity post game on that. But it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. Speaking of this game, Paddy, I mean, it's the two informed team in the Championship at the moment. Borough have won 4 on the bounce. Their last 2 here have been 4-0 wins over Preston and Southampton, who, as we have a screen just to our left and our right, are currently 2-0 up away at Stoke. And funny old league, this, isn't it? We said this week was going to be a really interesting test of where they were under Philippe Clement. They passed the first hurdle with flying colours. What about the second one? How do you see this going this afternoon? Feels tougher, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it does. Like we said earlier on today, I mean, you wouldn't be surprised if they just come up short. And less about Norwich, really, but they are encountering. I mean, as you say, Middlesbrough are probably the best team in the division at the minute.
I think so.
It's hard to debate that. And I don't, unlike Coventry, you know, they don't. I look at them from afar, albeit, but I don't see too much weakness that Norwich are going to exploit here today. So, you know, they've got the new manager bounced. They've got a group of players. And we saw at Carrow Road early in the season, I thought they were very good there as well. So, you know, they probably are where they should be. I thought it was interesting, Hellberg, in his pre-match, was saying if the season was more or less starting now, he felt Norwich are certainly a top 6 contender. And that's the challenge. Like Clement challenged them at Wrexham, challenged them at Coventry, Preston before Christmas. Can you show that you belong as a group to be, you know, in the front rank with the best teams in this division? And more often than not, they have done that. And I think they will do today for large parts. But you just feel maybe, certainly without Maatsen, you know, in the clutch moments, it might just go against them. So, but as I said this morning, you know, I think Clement's already laying the ground there. He's talked about, you know, it can't just be growth. There will be steps back and there will be difficulties to encounter, and maybe that might be a small one along the way today. But I look at the fixtures coming up, and without taking anything for granted, there's absolutely no debate for me that Norwich could take a good harvest of points from those. So I'm going to probably go 2-0 Borough today. You?
Yeah, I'm going to give Norwich a goal, but I'm going to go 2-1 Borough. I think this one might just be a game too far for them. But hey, look, 9 points from 12. I think we were talking at the beginning of this run, might have even been before the Wrexham game, one of these videos. If you can just get through these next 4 games and still be within touching distance, well, they've done more than that. They're outside the bottom 3. So that's a key to what they've done. So I think it's not a free hit because no game in the Championship and in Norwich's situation is. But I do think they've just taken a little bit of pressure off themselves today compared to where they were a couple of weeks ago. And then, like you say, you look at the games coming up. Sorry, go on.
Ever's confident.
I think Norwich will win 3-1. Well, that would be epic. But you look at your new maps out. The next 4 league games, 3 of those against teams in and around them. Home against Blackburn Rovers next weekend. That feels absolutely mammoth, doesn't it, that game? Then they go away to Oxford in midweek. Then you obviously got the break for the FA Cup. But then it's Birmingham at home and Sheffield Wednesday at home. 3 of the next 4 at Carrow Road and against teams in and around them towards the bottom end of the division. Real opportunity there for Norwich to continue this momentum, irrespective of what happens today. So yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-1 Borough, and I think this one's going to be a tough one. But like you, I expect Norwich to be competitive for long periods of this game. We'll have every angle covered. Pinken.com, the place to go. We'll have live updates on the Matchday blog. Paddy will be speaking to Philippe Clement after the game. We'll get an update on that Harry Mass and Tony Springett and any other injuries. I'm sure you'll ask about Mo Toure as well. I'm not sure how far you'll get, but I'm sure you'll ask about it. Yeah. Hopefully those 1,300 Norwich fans, as we look across the Riverside Stadium, have something to cheer about this afternoon ahead of what is going to be a very interesting run of games. Thank you all very much for joining us, and we will catch you again very soon. See you later.